How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what real estate agents actually think about your little house.
That's a tough one sometimes, my friend.
Got your little upgrades that you keep telling us about that are going to add so much value.
Oh, they look so good, Matt. They look so good.
Oh, do they? Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to be talking about U.S. government agencies that are relinquishing their mask mandates.
Ooh.
I know everyone has strong opinions on the old mask, and we're going to get into those opinions. But we are going to take that real estate approach. So you keyboard warriors out there, you know, maybe hold back a little bit, but just saying the four-letter M word has already gotten people riled up. And then we're also going to be talking about off-market transactions, also known as whisper, whipped cream. Whisper listings are on the rise, and if that's even a good thing, because you see agents posting on social media, hey, I got this off-market deal. Hey, my buyers got this off-market. Hey, my seller sold this without even going on the market. Is that a good thing for the buyer? Is that a good thing for the seller? We're going to get into that. Let's start with the article from Realtor.com. Here's what real estate agents actually think about your house. This article just came out, and it goes through different parts of sellers. I don't want to say boasting, but I would say what they think is valuable about their house versus maybe what the markets will actually see. So, first thing on the list is your creative renovation has me worried, Shawn. So I'm sure you've walked into a listing before at a house and you've seen some interesting different renovation and the seller's talking your ears off about it, and all you can think about is how they've uniquely renovated it down to such a small submarket of the population.
Yeah, this is a big deal. You could spend a ton of money upgrading your home to make it bigger, to make it better, whatever it is. But, you know, sometimes when you go through properties and you see these renovations, they are actually, I mean, they could be detrimental, honestly. There's a couple that come to mind in my head, and I won't mention which ones they are, but some of the bedrooms get really tight. Like they'll do an add-on that'll add this little space, and then they'll try to create bedrooms out of that space. And the bedrooms end up becoming very small and almost unusable, right? So you're calling it a 3 or 4 bedroom home, but the space is so awkward, so narrow or so small that it's like, it can't even function. It looks like almost like a wide hallway sometimes, or almost like a little closet, right? And so can you actually call this a bedroom? And that's the problem is, you'll run into, oh, you called this a 4-bedroom, but man, these 2 aren't really usable as bedrooms. They're so tiny, or they're in the basement or on different levels, you know? So
as an agent, and then you see that in the MLS, oh, this 4-bedroom house, and you go in and you're like, where's the 4th bedroom?
Yeah.
Like, are you telling me that was the bedroom? Yeah. It can be a little misleading, and sometimes I'll put it in the feedback. I actually went to a property recently that was listed as 3 bedrooms, and there was essentially a 4th bedroom. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. I wonder why they didn't list this as a 4th bedroom. And it was in the basement. There was an egress. It had been relisted previously, and when it was relisted, it was listed as a 4-bedroom.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to 3 bedrooms. Nothing changed about the property. So I'm wondering if they got feedback and people were like, hey, guys, this isn't really a bedroom, but I'm not sure.
And that's the key is a lot of people, you know, you can flag on the listings whether you disagree with something or you think that there's an error in that listing. So we as real estate agents can go in there and say, hey, this isn't a bedroom. They're calling it a bedroom. We feel like it should be called a 3-bedroom. So maybe that was the feedback that they were getting. Because honestly, when we are showing properties, most people want all of those bedrooms on the same level or pretty close. And recently, we just sold one over in Burke where the bedrooms weren't on the same level, but they were still, there was like the owner's suite and then 2 above that, which was unique and cool. And that could be nice. But when you have maybe your kids' bedrooms down in the basement and the owner's suite upstairs, most people don't want that. So yes, you can look in that listing and see where those bedrooms are located, but in the end, most people want those 4 on that top level.
I really like this line in the article. Sellers often say, we have a fully updated kitchen, but 9 times out of 10, the work was actually done decades ago.
This drives me crazy. Yeah, we just updated our kitchen. It looks amazing. You just did 10 years ago, and it looks like 1990 inside, right? That's the thing is like, oh, the old oak cabinets. How beautiful, you know. Oh, you've got white appliances. That's nice. At least they're nice looking, but they're functional. Yeah, but today's trends are completely different, and today's buyer is a lot different than the buyer in the 90s and 2000s. And so if you haven't updated your kitchen in the last 3 years, then you really haven't updated it recently, because 3 years ago, complete different trends.
Definitely. Next on the list, these pops of color on the walls hurt my eyes. Now, Shawn, I think accent walls are huge right now.
Yeah.
Wallpaper is actually making a comeback.
Yeah.
But you ever go through a house and you walk into the first room and you're like, oh, that's an interesting color. You walk into the second room and you're like, oh, that's an interesting color. And then you get to a room where you can see like the whole house, and every little room has their own little interesting color. And I'm the only thing I can think of is like, oh, this is the seller that is keeping Home Depot in business for all those random paint colors that you see at Home Depot.
Oh yeah, I mean, one comes to mind right now, and the thing is, the person was very proud of their place, right? And they're like, oh, look at these paint colors; these are great. And literally, they weren't shades of colors; they were red, one orange, one yellow, one blue, like all different colors of the rainbow, and they loved it. I was like, what do you say, right? So this is the thing, is you don't want to offend people. So it's a really tough thing, especially like they weren't actually selling it. They were just showing me. And I was like, oh, that's cool, you know? And you know, in conversation, I'll try to be like, well, you know, what we like to do is try to appeal to the masses, right? And so a lot of times, yeah, these are great for your personal colors. I love them. But when it comes to sell, we have to change our mindset, right? We're no longer trying to appeal to you. We're trying to appeal to as many people as we can. So in my professional opinion, we're going to have to tone this down when we go to market. Right now, I love it. Looks great.
Your bedside manner is undefeated. I don't think anyone can, like, if I have bad news, I may want to call you.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, can you deliver this for me?
You know what? I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, you're really good at like kind of, and I've always been that type of person where I'm the mediator, right? I can mediate pretty well, and it just comes naturally to me. But yeah, you just have to be careful. Like, the thing is, when you go into a listing, you don't want to offend them, right? But you have to get it to the right position, because a lot of people are going to say, I know what everybody's going to say, I hate the colors in there, right? So you have to tone it down.
And buyers can see past paint. However, when it's like the whole house, it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, this has now become a distraction, and all we can think about are these bold paint choices.
Yeah, it's a complete distraction.
Next on the list, telling me the carpet is a huge bonus is a joke. Shawn, I had a seller recently, very, very nice woman, walked in, wall-to-wall carpet, you know, pristine condition, and one of the feedback that we got from the agent said, oh, we need to do some renovations, you know, flooring especially. She goes, there's nothing wrong with the flooring. That carpet is in excellent condition. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say, but carpet's out. And so sometimes, you know, we want to replace old carpet with better carpet. Sure, carpet in the bedroom. But if we have more of like main living areas that have wall-to-wall carpet, or condos or townhouses from the 1990s or 80s where you just haven't updated the carpet, the new wall-to-wall carpet is not going to make a big impact.
No, you have to get rid of it. You know, honestly, I like carpet. I like it here and there, right? And in my house, my first main level is all hardwood floors. And sometimes, you know, you want to roll around with the kids on the floor, and that's hard, you know? So you go upstairs to, you know, the game room or whatever, and you roll around on the carpet. That's where you like the carpet, maybe in that game room. But definitely, we recently did a condo up in Ballston, where when I walked into it, there were tenants still in there, and I'm like, ooh, this is a gem, you know? Wall-to-wall carpet, and the carpet was oh, well, I replaced the carpet in this bedroom and I replaced this carpet in this bedroom. I'm like, I don't care when you replaced it. This is all coming out. And, you know, the trend now for small spaces is really a luxury vinyl product. If you want to renovate, and this is on the cheaper side, right? Just to make it look good for an affordable amount, you know, you're talking condos between 700 to 1,200 square feet, 700 to 1,200 square feet. You can do that at a pretty affordable rate, just slightly above the carpet cost, you know, and it totally changes the look. So Matt, if I ever sell a property with carpet in the living room, or a condo, I should say, with carpet that runs right up to that kitchen, ooh, no.
Better price that baby where it should be.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, if you can replace carpet with LVP or whatnot, that's very advantageous. Okay, next on the list, displaying your personality will not help your listing shine. Think strong political affiliations.
Oh, yeah.
Think wearing your emotions on your sleeve of everything you believe in. Could be religious things, could be things that are political, things that are flags that are no longer appropriate, that haven't been appropriate since 1861. And we've seen those photos online of, like, I'm walking through the listing and there's like a photo of the garage and there's, like, you know, a gun on the table, like some drug residue, a flag that shouldn't be there, and you're just like, well, this isn't going to help.
You know, I have an example of this, and this actually happened, and we actually purchased it off market. It never hit the market, and it was about to be listed by somebody, and we went and just snagged it and said, we'll take it. But he was of a political affiliation. He was big. He was on news places. He had a lot of memorabilia that was sided to one side. And had that been on the market, I think that could have been either a positive or negative, however you're looking at it. But my clients actually worked on the Hill with the same political affiliation. And they were like, this is the guy that owns this house. We know this guy. I love it, right? So it just so happened that it worked out perfectly, off market, done, and everybody was happy. But that could really be detrimental.
Yeah, it can definitely work out if you align with that exact belief. You know, the article mentions that there was a sculpture of Virgin Mary that was in a bathtub in the front yard. If I'm reading that correct, is that a thing?
Oh yeah, that's a thing. I've seen it many times.
Okay,
so it's like, yeah,
it's a thing.
Virgin Mary will go like in like a fountain kind of scene, and they're probably trying to recreate their own fountain, which probably looked really beautiful.
But I'm sure it did. But like, it's tough. How are you going to tell a seller?
Tub in your front yard?
No. Clearly, I'm being ignorant because I just don't know a lot about that.
Well, and that's the thing is, there are religious things that people put in homes that you got to be careful. This is the thing. You have to pull your personal thoughts out of this house. This is no longer your house. Think of it as not your house. You lived in it for a long time. You loved it. You have your personal things out. Now let's take them out and let's go towards, you know, everybody else that wants to feel comfortable in this space.
The second you sign the listing agreement, it is no longer your house. Sure, you own it. You're on the deed. You're on title. You're
Let us take
property
over.
Tax records, but it is not your house.
Yeah.
It is now a commodity that you've hired a marketing company to sell for you. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. This comes to us from Reuters.com. The United States government agencies start dropping mask requirements as of March the 2nd. So, Shawn, big old picture of the Pentagon in Arlington, just down the street from here. Essentially, the Defense and Justice Departments are no longer requiring masks to be worn at Washington area facilities. Why is that relevant? Well, this is one of the first steps for having government employees back in the office. I don't want to say full time, but I just want to say this is a baby step and leading up to where we were in early 2020, late 2019 of having some sort of normalcy, getting past this. I mean, the State of the Union was just on. I don't think I saw one mask. So not to get too political, but I think that it's a good thing if our leaders who are getting maybe the best advice are saying, hey, we're now comfortable in this confined space without masks. I think most, if not all of them, were vaccinated. Don't need to go down that road either. But what I am trying to get at is, how is this now going to affect the real estate market if government employees are now one step closer to having to be back into the office, closer to full time, maybe more than just 2 days a week or more than just 3 days a week? Shawn, I was on the Beltway the other day in stop and go traffic. Didn't hate it. Not only because the car was driving itself, I was doing a little texting, little this, little that. I look up, I'm like 10 miles down the road. I'm like,
love it.
Like, what just happened? Like, I haven't looked at the road in like 10 minutes.
I know.
Not only that, but sometimes I like traffic just to know people are out there. People are doing things. People are off their couch. People are working. Economy is moving. So I get a little excited. So Shawn, with us being one step closer in the government, workers getting a little bit closer to returning back to work, how's that going to affect the market? Because it could put things on hold for some people as they get readjusted. It could be kind of a light bulb moment where they're like, oh man, I made that big purchase in 2020. Now I now realize I need a condo. Or maybe the mindset shift doesn't shift at all. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really difficult to get into. I think we've been spoiled for the last 2.5 years with no traffic around here, which is amazing. I can get all over the place very quickly. But prior to that, it was agonizing. If you're driving anywhere between 3:30 and 6:30, it's in the afternoon, it's awful. And I was always like, I'm not scheduling anything during that time. But you know, what is happening now is, the mandates are going away. 2 days ago, the schools, no masks in the schools. And my daughter was like, wait a second, I don't have to wear one? I'm like, you choose what you want to do. If you want to wear one, you can wear one. If you don't want to wear one, you're allowed to not wear one.
That's a good parent right there. Let her make, how old is she?
She's 7.
Let her make her own decision. Well, maybe you're saying the pros and cons, but it's her decision.
Yeah, but she knows. She's been in that school for a long time, wearing masks the entire time. And she ended up taking it off. She was like, no, I think I want to try it with it. She was a little nervous about it, which you think about a 7-year-old's mind after 2.5 years of having a mask on. It's a rough situation. But she said that most of the kids actually did have their masks off. There were some that still had them on. So I like that, you know. Anyways, now what's happening, we have seen this exodus. We have seen a moving out from the cities. And now people are going to say, all right, well, come on back into work. You know, I'll say that with a caveat. Zoom and Google Meet has become much easier and a big part of our lives. So will we go back to work like we used to? I don't know, right? I don't think that it's going to be, hey, I need you here 5 days a week. Government agencies, maybe. But we have learned that we can get around at least 2 days a week, 3 days a week, that we can work outside of the office. So maybe it won't have that dramatic effect that I was thinking of earlier. But if these employers start saying, hey, you need to start coming in. I've sold plenty of houses pretty far out that take about 45 minutes to get there without traffic. And it's going to be a reckoning for people that have to come back in. And one thing you brought up was like, maybe they just buy a second condo, and that might be good. You know, they love their experience out there, living out there with their big yard and big house. But now maybe those one room, efficiencies are going to be hot. Who knows?
Aldi is pretty far away when you add in some traffic.
It is. It is. Now, you know, there's, like I said, at the time, they're able to just do Zoom and work from home. So hopefully that continues for them. But I think a lot of people are going to have to start commuting again, and it's going to hurt.
I'm thinking there has to be an uptick in the demand for condos. It's been soft for so long. We're starting to see it, and with government employees maybe going back to work a little more often, maybe there's going to be some pent-up demand over the next couple months where we're going to see that. And I don't know what sort of trickle effects will happen in those, not necessarily exurbs, but in the suburban markets.
Yeah, I think it's going to start happening. We've seen we've had a troubled condo market right here in Arlington with the high rises mainly. But as we've seen the last couple of weeks, that the inventory has gone down dramatically, And there are some selling right off market. We got a couple off market last week. One, first day on the market, we took it off. We as buyers represented them. We were in competition in a couple. So that goes to show you that there is we're starting to hit that spring market too. So a lot of factors going on.
Cool. Let's move on to our third topic. This comes to us from businessinsider.com. New York elites are snatching up luxury real estate using a method that's against many realtors' code of ethics. More New Yorkers are buying off-market homes known as whisper listings. It's a way for them to circumvent the tight, increasingly expensive real estate market, Shawn. And basically what a whisper listing is an off-market property where a listing brokerage has signed a listing agreement and the agents in that brokerage know about it, but it's not being publicly marketed or it's not on the MLS. So it's basically an off-market property, a pocket listing, a whisper listing, however you want to call it. It's a way for buyers to bid on a property with essentially without competition, and for sellers to sell a property without having a bunch of looky-loos strutting through the open house, nosy neighbors, a lot of publicity if you're a seller and you want to keep it on the DL. And so it sounds like there's a lot of pros to that, a lot of advantages of being a buyer, not having to deal with competition, being a seller, not having to go through the rigmarole of getting everything perfect or putting all your business out in public. So Shawn, why are people maybe upset about whisper listings being on the rise?
Well, my thing is always I'm representing my clients and my clients' interest. And what do I know more than they do, right? I'm a professional. I do this every day. So I know that the best way to get the best contract and the highest price is by hitting the market. And that's what I guess we need to understand is, are these real estate agents giving the right advice to those sellers to say, hey, this is what I think I can get you on the open market, but this is what I can get you here. And I don't think it would compare. And we have seen this recently. We could have sold these 2-3 properties that we just got under contract in the last week that off market. But had we done that at list price, we would have gotten nowhere close to what the market produced. And it was 6 figures difference. And that's what people don't understand. Now, I have 2 real world examples of this. Number one, I was in a listing competition the other couple weeks ago. And I essentially won the listing, right? They said, we want to go with you. However, we're not ready to go on the market yet. And this other agent said, hey, I will drastically reduce my commission if I can sell this property off market to one of my buyers. So they were like, well, what's the downside of that? And I said, well, you can try it. I think that you're going to get less than what the markets could yield. And in the end, I called them a week later and they're like, we sold it. We sold it off market.
Really? I was wondering whatever happened with that situation.
I was really surprised. I was like, wow, I did not expect that. And I was expecting to have this new listing coming up. But
did you get any more details on it? Like
they ended up getting, so we were probably going to list the price probably around the 800 mark. They ended up, and I was thinking that we were probably going to get in the low 800s. But, judging from what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, we've seen properties go significantly up. So they said, all right, well, we want to look at the difference between what I would have charged and the difference from what this agent charged, which was pretty significant, right? And they ended up getting an offer at $800,000 cash, and they took it. They probably saved, thousands of dollars in the commissions, but would the market have yielded more? And judging from what I've seen in the last 2 weeks, I believe it would have.
Well, then the question is money always, and will it always be the #1 absolute motivating factor for every single seller out there?
No, and that's the key. It's ease. A lot of people just want to walk away from it. They don't want the hassle. They don't want the stress. So I get that. And my thing in my head, I'm always like, I need to get the highest price. I need to get all these contingencies gone. I need it clean, right? But there's a lot of people out there that sometimes, you know, an extra 10 grand, 15 grand doesn't matter to them. They don't care. They just want it gone. They don't want to think about it, and they're willing to just move on. And that's where you've got to think about those people. And maybe these whisper listings, that's why. They don't want people trudging through their house. You know, sometimes these listings only take 5 days on the market and they're gone. You think, oh, well, what's the big deal about 5 days on the market? You know, I'll just go away for that time. That's the way I would think. But there's plenty of other people that say, I don't want these strange people walking through my house. I don't want to have to deal with it. Just give me an offer and let's move on. And
some of these properties take a really long time to prepare.
Yeah.
I sometimes look back at my email correspondence, you know, first correspondence with the seller, and then when it actually closes, you know, it was some of these are years, you know, years of preparation. And, you know, for that Robarge court, you know, they did so much. I mean, they cleared out like 20 years worth of things. And I bet if I had gone to them like the first day when the house was, you know, lived in, and they had their stuff everywhere, the place was a mess, I said, hey, if I can get you 1.35 or 1.4 for this house that appraised for much less, would you take that offer? They probably would have taken it all day long. You're telling me I don't have to paint, I don't have to replace the carpet, I don't have to fix all these things in the wall, but you put in the work, you make an extra $200,000, but is it worth your time, your weekends burned, your late nights, your stress, your contractor calls, and ultimately your sanity?
Yeah, and there's some people that are built for that, like flipping properties, right? This is what people live for. There's $200,000 sitting there, and they wouldn't have known that it was 200 grand, but it actually was over $200,000 that you ended up getting them because you prepared it. You said, this is what needs to be done. They followed your guidance. You did all of the right things. You marketed it like crazy. You staged the property. I mean, these things are the key to creating the frenzy and making this property boost. But yes, they would have probably taken it. Is it worth it for people? Some people will say, no, I don't want to have to go through these months of stress and pulling this stuff out and then living while they're renovating this or living here while they're replacing carpet and doing the painting. I get it. Me, I'll live through it. You know, I'll take the extra 200 grand, you know, or whatever it is, you know, even if it was $20,000 and I had to put in 5, I'm doing it. Right. I mean, I think that is the key to it. But there's plenty of people that aren't like me and they don't care. So I can see it both ways.
Some statistics out there. According to Redfin, the amount of off-market transactions in the U.S. has increased 67% since 2019. In New York City alone, 20% of the homes that were sold in the third quarter of 2021 were pocket listings. That strikes me as a very high. Was that 1 out of 5 houses in New York, properties in New York sell off market? That's a really high figure for me.
That is. And, you know, think about how many times that we actually sell places off market. And the funny thing is, this is my other world, you know, real consequence or real thing that just happened was like, you know, I had a listing and I had clients and I said, hey, I have this listing come on, you know, you should drive around it. And I could have probably sold it off market to them, right? But we ended up going to market and we prepared it and everything else. And guess who bought it? My clients bought it, right? So it can work both ways. Yes, they would have bought it off market. They ended up buying it on market. But it was also like, it looked a lot better than it would have had we waited. And so what would have been that price back then and what would have been now, right? So I think it's all about preparation for me. I love prepping properties. I love seeing the befores and afters. And I love seeing how much I can gain for my client. That's just, it's a game. It's kind of like, you know, it's like chess, right?
Yeah, and there's been some significant rule changes in the, you know, MLS system for realtors in terms of advertising. If you advertise an off-market property, it has to be in the MLS 1 business day later. Not many people are talking about that these days. I think people have kind of just gone about their lives, and the threats of being fined like $500 or $1,000 or whatever the ridiculous bright MLS, you know, system fines its agents for terrible offenses because the system is broken. Not many people are talking about the coming soon listings in terms of, you know, marketing and whatnot. So I think that that's kind of cooled off. I think we're always going to have whisper listings, off-market listings. People are posting on Instagram about their listing. Hey, this one's coming on the market in 2 weeks. It's like, all right, well, that's you're advertising publicly. It's not in the MLS, but people don't care. Yeah. No one's gonna take I hope no one takes a screenshot of that and send it to the bright MLS police. But
they're out there. They will. There's certain people that are angry all the time. They will do that.
Angry trolls. But the article is like, okay, housing equality, and sure, it's probably not great. You see a for sale sign come up or whatnot, and then it sells immediately before you know what happens. It's not fair, but the game was never fair. Yeah. The housing market is and will never be fair. But it does come into question, like, okay, maybe your real estate agent actually matters. Maybe having those connections and using a brokerage that's local and has those connections actually matters.
Right. And you have a strategy. The strategy is, I need that house. How am I going to get it? There was one right down the street from my listing last week, 2 weeks prior, that was coming soon, priced at $900,000, and it never hit the market. And I was like, where did that thing go? And it literally never hit the market, and somebody just offered them. And so here's the thing is, we have a code of ethics to follow. We have rules to follow, but what you're representing your client, and all of a sudden they just get a sight unseen offer for $1 million. They're going to say, Shawn, I want to take it. Okay, well, what the heck do I do now, right? Sight unseen, we're coming soon. So this stuff can happen. There's consequences to that. But your seller wants it, right? And so what are you going to do? You got to do what your seller wants. No, I can't do that because I have to go. You could go active for a little bit, and that could work. But I mean, I've seen that happen, right? You go active for about a couple hours, and then you say, boom.
All you can do is advise your sellers or buyers on the pros and cons of what they're requesting, and from there, it's up to your client to make the decision. And you kind of just roll with the punches, whether they've gone with your suggestion or not. It could go either way.
That's right, man.
All right, guys. Well, that just about does it for another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below on the old whisper listings. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.